What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to our Week 12 49ers versus Rams live stream. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I'm my co-host, Matt Llewellyn. Matt, this week's been crazy, first of all. Not only all of the players coming back from injuries and off the COVID list, but today it was announced, obviously, the Santa Clara County, their new guidelines. The 49ers aren't allowed to practice or play in their stadium for the next 3 weeks. How much does this affect the team going forward?
I mean, the NFL is going to have stuff that they've worked out ahead of time. At the beginning of all this planning, nobody knew if teams were going to have to move anyway. The laws were a little bit different, a lot more strict back when they were first starting. So I'm sure they have plans in place. Still, it kind of sucks. I mean, this is a team that's now essentially homeless, which is what the beanie's for, guys. Homeless 49ers. So, but yeah, where you play is where you play. That's, as long as they have access to facilities, that's one thing. It could be worse. The Broncos don't even have a QB for their game. So, I mean, I don't know. This is a weird season. I don't think that anybody, even if you do win a Super Bowl, how do you feel good about it? There's just so much crazy stuff going on. I don't think we've ever seen a season like this. It's nuts. And, I get from the public health aspect why they would do it. But, there's no fans at the stadium. I don't know. I don't know what they're accomplishing by all of a sudden imposing these restrictions. I guess it's for other teams coming in, but the NFL is kind of like this big business, self-contained kind of thing. You'd think they'd do something different with that or exempt them or something. I get the college teams because you're on campus, they're students, whatever, but an NFL team's kind of self-contained. It's not like, I can just keep them out of the strip club and they should be good.
Yeah, this news was kind of crazy to me because it's just like, what do you expect them to do? Because they're practicing here, playing here. Obviously, they've gone through this much of the year already. Just allow them to finish it up. I saw some people, someone's saying Inglewood, Tyson or Jones, Tyson. I've even seen some people suggest, I think Oracle Park. They have to get out of Santa Clara, so perhaps, I don't know what the Raiders' old stadium is like these days, but something's going to have to give because they can't just not practice or play for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, and it's got to be an NFL level facility too. It's not like they're going to stick them somewhere. I mean, the best they could probably do, maybe Carson, But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to work out a deal. It's just a deal really with Allegiant Stadium is where I think they're probably going to end up in Las Vegas. It's a pretty close flight. The thing with Inglewood, why they won't go, I mean, there's already 2 teams. Trying to fit 3 home game or 3 teams home games there for the last few weeks is going to be a nightmare, especially on short notice. So I think they can maybe rearrange the schedule and, kind of work that out. But yeah, I honestly, I have no idea what they're going to do. They've already moved the Ravens-Steelers game twice. The Steelers have more positive tests today. We don't know what they're going to do. It's kind of nuts, man. I don't know if they're going to postpone that game for like a week. And then I guess that kicks in something about adding 2 extra playoff teams, which would make it 16. So I don't know. It's a mess right now. Come on, Pfizer. Come on, Moderna. Let's get those vaccines out there and get past this whole thing. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and not only did they move the Ravens-Steelers game, but then the Ravens and Cowboys game then had to be moved because they were supposed to play, I think, that Thursday, which was already pushed back. So it's just crazy, but I mean, that's just 2020. That's just the NFL this year. Yeah. And like you were saying, it's going to be almost like a discounted ring. It's like, I think of the NBA championships, right? It's going to be tough, but they figured out a way to do it. But I understand why some teams are like, look, that's not really a legitimate ring. I can't really view LeBron's championship. And I know you're
that's different. That's different though.
It is different
though, because everybody was under the same circumstances and they had no positives once they got in the bubble. They were straight.
Right.
You're playing games, you play full games. Right. This is totally different because you're missing players now. There's serious competitive disadvantages. Or like for the 49ers, you don't get to play at home for your 2 December games. So that's a serious competitive disadvantage. The NBA, everybody was in the same spot, living in the same shitty hotels, like doing the same stuff. So it was like, to me, that's a real ring, just because nobody was out positive with COVID or whatever. Everybody had their people. Like, what are you going to do? You know?
Yeah.
So
no, I hear you.
But it's not really feasible to do that for NFL teams, just because, I mean, every other sport besides the NBA has far larger rosters. I mean, there's 15 players on the NBA roster. There's like 12 active. You're talking about a limited number of players anyway. Now you got 53 for an NFL, where you got guys coming in and off of IR. You got guys coming in for, practice squad stuff, or like signing off the free agency that have to go through this COVID protocol. It's just not feasible. There's way more coaches on an NFL staff than there are on an NBA staff. So it's not, I mean, even baseball had problems with people going out from COVID and, this and this and that. So I think the NBA is the one where you're kind of like, okay, everybody was there. Everything was like at a competitive advantage or whatever. But like, even baseball, I'm a Padres fan, and, you make it past the first round of the playoffs, and then you don't even get to play at home anymore. You got to go to Texas or whatever. It's kind of weird. So,
yeah. Real quick, shout out to Jose. My work skills doesn't allow me to be in all your streams, but I always watch when I can. Big fan of you, Matt and Zach. Appreciate the love. I really do, guys.
Thanks.
If you're watching right now, hit that subscribe button. We are very close. We're getting to, more subscribers every day. And as soon as we get to 2,000, we will be giving away another 49ers jersey. So if you're watching
jersey.
It'll be our 5th one, I believe. Hit that subscribe button. It could be you. Who wins tomorrow?
The Rams.
Let's get
the Rams.
Yeah. I mean,
it's going to be close.
It's likely going to be the Rams, but the 49ers at least are getting back some players today, or tomorrow, I should say. Most importantly, Raheem Mostert. He's been kind of the life of this team, at least of the offense. However, that was when Jimmy Garoppolo was back there, so it's going to be different now that Nick Mullins is there. They get Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson and Richard Sherman back. So,
yeah, and Trent Williams is coming off the COVID list too, so he's going to be in the game.
That's right. Yeah, Trent Williams, but and
you still got Noodle Nick in there, so
yeah.
I just like. It's going to be the 49ers' first time playing in the new Rams stadium. They're shorthanded. They're just getting the news that they can't practice in their own facilities. There's no Brandon Ayuk because I think he's on the COVID list.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting Deebo Samuel back, which is a positive, but those guys have to work into the rotation after having weeks off. And that field is going to be super fast. So I don't know. I don't know if we have the juice to keep it close past like halftime. I think they can keep it competitive for like a half, and then it's just going to start slowly sliding away. It's just kind of one of those things. I don't think this team is going to be in a competitive game until we get to Washington. So
that's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate to say, but I mean, you look at. I mean, after this we get Buffalo, and then I think that's Washington after that, right?
Mm-hmm. And then Dallas, I think.
And then Dallas. So those are the winnable games. And then we get Arizona and Seattle back-to-back, which is like, I don't know.
Yeah. Comment here. How do you think the 49ers will do without Ayuk? It's not going to be pretty.
No.
He's done a lot for them the last couple of weeks when he was in. And I think we've seen a lot of growth from him this season, from where he started off and where he is now. And the offense without Deebo Samuel kind of runs through him, basically. As long as Nick Mullins knows how to actually get the ball to him, Kyle Shanahan can draw it up as much as he wants. If Nick Mullins isn't pulling the trigger, then it's kind of a moot point. But like Matt said, we do get Deebo back. They're probably going to, slowly get him into gear, get him in shape, because it's been a few weeks. I think when did he last play the Patriots game? Is that when he got injured?
Yeah, I think it was
towards the end of that Patriots game. So it's been a few weeks. Hopefully they're able to use him enough to have some success. Hung Fat did ask a question earlier on. Should we even want them to win? I mean, we've talked about this, it seems like every week. We're going to root for them to do well. We're not asking them to lay down and just get, completely trampled. But in the long, looking at this long term
grand scheme, it behooves them to take some L's. They're going to be better off if they finish 4-12 than if they finish 6-10 or 7-9. That's just just for draft position, because I mean, no matter what they say with the vote of confidence for Jimmy Garoppolo or whatever, dude, they're gonna be looking at these first round guys. And if you want them to get somebody like a Zach Wilson or somebody like that,
Yeah.
I don't get the Kyle Trask love though. I gotta say, I don't get it. I watch him and I'm like, I don't see it.
I haven't watched him enough to say definitively, but it seems like Eric Crocker did kind of a threat on him, and he was calling him more of like the safer pick with less of an upside. I haven't seen him enough to.
I don't want that. Like, why would you want that? Like, when we were talking about like, if you're going to move on from Jimmy, what do you want? You want a guy. We've been watching the Kyler Murrays, the Patrick Mahomes, the Russell Wilsons. It's like you want that guy. Like, take the guy with the higher upside. Like,
Yeah,
and I don't see how he can think he's a safer pick than somebody like a Zach Wilson or is like polished like Zach Wilson or what. Zach Wilson's the highest PFF rated college quarterback in the country. So
Zach Wilson would definitely be my number one right now. It's just a matter of, if the 49ers,
he's going to the Jets.
I don't even consider him part of this class because it's just like he's gone. He's gone no matter what.
The Jets, I know.
Yeah, the 49ers have no shot at him. So Zach Wilson's number one. It's just a matter of if the Niners can get in position to get him. Would you be say he's there at like 6 or 7 and they get word that a team's going to take them before they pick at, I don't know, 12 or 13.
Trade up and get him.
You'd be more than comfortable with that? Yeah, same here.
I mean, the Texans traded up to get Deshaun Watson. The Chiefs traded up to get Patrick Mahomes. Like, if you got a guy, you go and get him. That's just the way that it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes all the sense of the world because in the grand scheme of things, like we've just said, is a couple of picks, in a couple of years worth not having your franchise quarterback for the next 5 to 10, even 15 years, depending on how it works out?
And look at it this way, too. If the 49ers have a bunch of guys walking out, that's a bunch of comp picks that they're going to get. So, like, you're kind of recouping something. Like, you're throwing in some stuff that, especially if you're looking at 3rd, 4th, 5th rounders, which is, like, their bread and butter for picking, positions outside of, like, skill positions or whatever. You're talking, like, linebacker. Maybe you find an interior offensive lineman or you get, like, a DB or something, in those mid-rounds. I mean, then that's something you can do. But, like, quarterback, we can't do this project stuff. We can't do the safe pick or whatever. It's not worth it, man. Like, you got a guy who's dynamic, go get your guy.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's really all it comes down to.
I'm tired of less than stellar QB play, man. I grew up in the days of Montana and Young, and I was spoiled since I was a kid. So, go back to that.
Yeah. Jose's question here: which quarterback do you think Shanahan will use on this game? If it's between Nick and CJ, it's going to be Nick, barring any unforeseen injury. I don't think there's going to be some sort of back and forth through the rest of the year. Shanahan knows what the situation is. He's just going to roll with Nick, like I said, barring any unforeseen injury. Unfortunately, but that's where we are.
They knew that what they were going to get. Yeah. With like they put CJ Beathard in for that one play. And he like criminally underthrows a wide open receiver on the deep ball. I'm like, you know what he is. His
only strength is the deep ball, and he underthrows someone.
I think if Shanahan likes Zach Wilson enough, they're gonna go and get him.
I could see it. I mean,
some people I hear, he's not gonna be there when the 49ers pick. Well, that's why you trade up. Mm-hmm. Like trades in the draft are more common than like player for player swaps, which we hear about all the time. It's so funny to me that people would be like, "Oh, OBJ is disgruntled in Cleveland. Let's go trade for him." And then you have a prospect coming out of the draft and like, "We're too far back. We can't get him." Like, why don't you want to trade now? Like, what happened?
Yeah, it's true.
It's more likely you're going to do pick for pick swaps.
Yeah. Yeah. People tend to think like Madden when the season's already going and they're like, well, we'll just trade this player for this player. That's way less likely than somebody trading a couple of picks to move up a few spots. So yeah, I totally agree with you. And as far as, Zach Wilson and trading up for him, they traded up for Reuben Foster. They traded up for Brandon Ayuk. There's no precedent here that shows they're not comfortable trading up back into the first or up in the first if they get their guy. So I just think that that's something that definitely could happen. Shulo, if I'm late, what are your expectations for Nick Mullins? Matt, something we don't have much.
No, I mean, you're gonna listen. We got a leaky interior O line, and you got Aaron Donald, who traditionally doesn't do well against the Niners for some weird reason. But I think he's due, especially with like how much crap the 49er fan base, like they were sending him memes and stuff of him like slamming his helmet and all this stuff. And we don't need to gas him up, but he's going to be plenty, alive for the game. And then you got Jalen Ramsey out there. I mean, we got a depleted core of wide receivers. We got Brandon Ayuk out, Deebo Samuel coming back after weeks off. And yeah, we get Raheem Mostert, but he's had weeks off, and it's easier for running backs. But if they key on Raheem Mostert and then make Nick Mullins beat you, it's going to be a long day.
Yep. I mean, I agree with that. I think they're going to.
He's gonna have the typical thing like where he has like 65 to 70% completion for like 220 yards, but he's gonna have like 2 or 3 throws that you're just like, oh no. Typical Nick Mullins game.
Yeah. I agree with that, and I think that they're going to try to lean heavily on the running game. No secret, they've tried to do it ever since, even before Jimmy went out, because Jimmy's kind of untrustworthy. But I think the Rams know that, and their run defense is all right. It's nothing, stout. But just looking back to what they did to the Patriots on Monday night, the 49ers are likely going to have their hands full. Or excuse me, not the Patriots, the Bucs. I keep thinking of Tom Brady. The Bucs.
Yeah.
So if that team shows up tomorrow against the Niners, it's not going to be pretty, and it's going to be a long day. The defense likely can do enough to keep the offense in the game throughout the majority of the game. It's just a matter of the offense showing up, which time after time, they really haven't, especially since Jimmy's gone out.
And that's how this goes. It's like the war of attrition, right? And that's why I say you keep it competitive for a half, but then the game just starts slipping away, because when it comes down to it, when the defense starts getting tired, that's when the Rams are going to start scoring on those, mid-third quarter drives or whatever, where it's like, 3 plays, huge chunk yardage, touchdown. Like that, it's how it goes for this team a lot of times when the offense isn't producing. And, on top of Aaron Donald being gassed up for this game, McKivitz is starting for the first time. We don't know what we're going to get out of him. Like, again, another offensive line shuffle in the middle of the season. Just that's crazy. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be pretty.
It's really unfortunate that the 49ers have had to play a season-long game of musical chairs, but, with COVID and injuries, that's just where they are. And the fact that a guy like Weston Richburg is still out is mind-boggling to me, and that's a guy that the 49ers are just going to need to cut their losses.
He's going to be done. Yeah.
It sucks, but that's where they are. There's a couple of questions in here we should address.
Sure.
Losing Kiko Alonso, a huge loss. It's a non-factor.
No, that was a salary dump. He was never going to play.
No.
He had a ACL tear in the playoffs last year, his third one, and he's still rehabbing. He started the season on IR. He was never going to play. It was just a way to move salary around. Uh-oh. Did we lose Zach? Zach looks frozen. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to try to keep this going until Zach realizes that he's dead. All right. Are we expecting 1 interception from Mullen a game? Kinda. I expect 1 interception game for all these quarterbacks. They're just – we know what they are. Jimmy Garoppolo is like Jimmy Garoppolo, but – beyond that, they're even worse than Jimmy Garoppolo is. So expecting anything out of them is probably not good. Raheem, Jeff Wilson, and Debo are back. That would pump up the rest of the team for sure, but the QB performance is my main concern. Mine too. It just shows how premium quarterback is, and this is why I've been hammering for them to get a first-round quarterback, somebody who can, take over everything and kind of keep stuff moving along, and have a dynamic playmaker that can extend drives and play really well as far as maybe not on a Russell Wilson level, but somebody who's just better than what we've had. Somebody that can elevate the play of their teammates, which we haven't had in a long time. So, we got to get that first-round guy because QB performance has been really bad. More likely Mostert yards rushing or Debo 100 receiving. Neither. I don't know. I just think they're going to want to take away they're going to want to take away Mostert. And Debo coming back, I don't know what he's going to give you. I don't think has Debo had a 100-yard receiving game this season? I don't know if he has. Let's see. Ronald Blair being out this long has been a disappointment as well. Yeah. I mean, the whole season's been disappointing. You're looking at so many guys on IR, so many guys that are, hurt or out with COVID or in and out, the whole, revolving door of players. It's been a frustrating season overall. Ronald Blair is definitely disappointing. I don't know what his odds are for coming back and being productive, but we do have interior guys that have been pretty good. DJ Jones, I think Kinlaw's starting to round into shape and showing why they picked him where they did. Although we can't do defensive tackle first round. We can't do D-line first round again this year. But yeah, everything has been a disappointment. I think this has just been one long disappointing season. But that bodes well for 2021. We can retool, fly under the radar again. I really think this team does best when it's playing as the underdog instead of, and that's such a trope and it's cliche and everybody says it, but I really do feel like this team does better as the underdog. Fly under the radar. You're not reading your own press clippings. Kyle can give them, the little motivational speech about how everybody thinks that they're garbage or whatever, and then they go out and smack on people. So that'll be good. Debo 100 total yards is more realistic. That I agree with. Total yards, yes. 100 receiving yards. I don't think he's going to get there, but I think they want to use him on those reverses. Change of pace. They'll get him out on a slant or two. So, has Kyle been a good head coach? I know his play calling is great, but as a head coach, what do you think? I think he's been good, not great. And I do think that, so Kyle does this weird thing where he outcoaches himself. Something will be working for a half, and instead of he'll pick a weird week to, I'm going to keep doing it. And then he does it well past the point that it's effective, defense catches on or whatever. And then 2 or 3 drives, they fall behind and they can't get back into it. And then other games, it'll be he'll go immediately away from what was working into something that doesn't work. And he kind of gets in his own way. And I think he kind of outcoaches himself. The other thing that I think is a little suspect about Kyle is that he's a little too loyal to his guys. I don't think he's been great. I think he's been good. And I think part of that is there's a lot more to, take in as a head coach rather than as a coordinator. So that's what happens when you're too smart for your own good. I think that's true. I think he knows that he's the most clever guy in the room. And I think a lot of it also comes down to trust. So it's clear that he doesn't trust his quarterbacks. So he tries to scheme around them. He does these weird play calls or these weird things where he's taking the ball. Like how many times on, first down, they do a little play action pass or whatever, or maybe a run or something like that. And they gain 4 or 5 yards. And hey, he's back.
I'm back.
And then on second down, it'll be 2nd and 4. And you know what's coming. He's going to run the ball and we're going to lose 2 yards. He's going to run the ball in a sweep or an outside zone and we're going to lose yards. So, it's one of those things where he's really clever. And then at other times he's just thoroughly stubborn in what he's doing because I don't think that he trusts his players to execute the game plan as well as he's drawing it up. So it's kind of a catch-22. I think Kyle's been good, but we've talked about he gets some passes, but I think that, we really need to start looking at him beyond this year is I don't know, are you as good as we all thought that you were going to be? Are you the guy that everybody thought you were going to be? Because you look at a guy Matt Nagy in Chicago, who's had terrible quarterbacks, but he still has a winning record, and heaven help them. Mitch Trubisky's starting again this week, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's unfortunate, and this comment here I think sums it up perfectly. That's what happens when you're too smart for your own good. Yeah. Shanahan, we've talked about it, Matt. He gets in his own way almost. He's kind of his own worst enemy. Is the game plan will be going perfectly, exactly how he wants to, and then he just kind of gets too far ahead of himself to where he just messes it all up. We saw it in the Super Bowl. We've seen it a couple of times since. It's almost like he just can't help but self-sabotage. And it's unfortunate because he's bright and he knows football inside and out. But you compared him to Matt Nagy, and Matt Nagy, the difference is he finds a way to win with much fewer talented players. So it's unfortunate. That's where we are, and we need to see Kyle Shanahan do it an extended period of time, because I thought it was a little funny. I mean, as a fan, I was happy to see some stability, but the fact that Jed York came out and gave him and Lynch extensions after one winning season, it was almost like, here, take it. Finally got some success. Take my money. So that was interesting to see.
I mean, I get it. I don't want to fully indict Shanahan like he's been bad or whatever. I mean, he's had a lot of difficult circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had a straight garbage roster in 2017. Then it's still not a great roster, and then you trade for a guy that you think is going to be your quarterback of the future, and then he goes down with the knee. And now 2020 is like COVID year, immense amount of injuries again, and so it's like, all right, I'm not going to kill the guy. The 1 year they had relative health, they went to a Super Bowl, right? Like, so you kind of want to see it, but there's enough there. And I think Steve brought it up with the shotgun formation runs on 4th and 1, where you're just like, come on, man, we all know what you're about to do. Like, don't do that.
Yeah. That sucks. I did see real quick that Eric Branch tweeted out that the 49ers and the NFL prepared backup plans before the season in the event that the team had to relocate. So they do have an NFL stadium ready. I guess we'll see. We'll probably find out in the next week or so.
They're probably going to Vegas. The only other situation I could think that they would be in is if they did like a rush job trying to get Carson ready. But I don't think they would go there either, because LA County is like super locked down too. So
yeah.
I think they'd have to leave the state.
Yeah, which is funny because LA County as a whole, they're way more locked down than Santa Clara is, yet they're allowing professional sports and Santa Clara isn't. So that's just interesting to think. Sakona, I'm not sure if you addressed it all. It's gone. You hear about Sherman going to play safety. I didn't hear anything about that. I don't know if that's
I didn't
something.
hear about it either. I'll look into it.
Yeah. Is Matt Ryan the only quarterback he trusts so far?
I wouldn't say that. I think he really likes Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
But listen, he made Matt Schaub a Pro Bowler in Houston, so
that's true. Yeah. That was crazy. He just completely had a resurgence, or not even a resurgence, an emergence, I guess, because he was kind of backup crap before that.
This was like 2008 when nobody was throwing for like 4,000 yards, and he had like 4,300 yards passing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, with Andre Johnson, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess it just goes to show if you get him that star receiver, Shanahan could do a lot with that, and just a capable quarterback.
Somebody who's not going to make a ton of mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I'm going for us. We just got to worry about protecting Nick. And
you're picking the 49ers to win? That's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off for you.
Not only protecting him, but him doing the right thing. More often than not, he doesn't, unfortunately. Mack Jones. What do you think about Mack Jones? I believe the 49ers scouts were at the game today, if I read that correctly.
Yeah, I would have to do some serious film work. It's hard to evaluate Alabama quarterbacks because their team is so good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, everybody on that team is super good.
Mm-hmm.
So how much is Mack Jones doing versus how much offense is Mack Jones creating versus how much is he just asked not to screw up?
True.
Because I mean, Tua maybe looks like he's going to be a guy, but other than that, who has ever come out of Alabama that was? I mean, I'm talking like. Obviously, there were guys in like the 60s or whatever that probably came out, the 70s that came out, but I'm talking like recently. AJ McCarron was no good. I can't even remember who played quarterback for them before that. Like, you had a bunch of guys.
It's hard to remember because nobody stands out. That's not a good thing.
Jalen Hurts is in Philadelphia, but who knows? He didn't really emerge until he got with Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
So.
Real quick, do you think we see Jalen Hurts next year starting?
I think you might see him this year. Carson Wentz has been so bad. I don't. It's actually baffling how bad he's been. I don't understand it because even with injuries and stuff, you wouldn't think his play would fall off that much, but he looks like he's been absolutely ruined.
Yeah.
I don't know if his wife doesn't love him anymore or like I don't know what's going on, but I mean, he's played horrendously. His decision making looks way worse. His ball placement is way worse. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but I guess that's where the Eagles are at. And unfortunately, it was enough to beat the 49ers a few weeks ago. So that's what it is. It's a garbage roster right now, Steve says.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It's going back to your first year. Santa Clara hates 49ers New York. That relationship has never been good. It's been bad from the beginning. So
yeah, and the funny thing is, like, all you needed to know about, and I'm not gonna blame Santa Clara, and I'm not just gonna blame the 49ers, but the fact that they used the plan that they were gonna use to replace Candlestick at Candlestick Point in Santa Clara without doing any redesign, considering the geography, tells you all you need to know about that relationship. That it's never been destined to work out. I mean, Levi Stadium as it's designed would be fantastic at Candlestick, where where the wind is going to come through, you got good airflow or whatever. Like, it would have been an awesome place. It wouldn't have been so hot. The way that they would have had it oriented would have been different, but now it's in a spot where there's no wind. The temperature is like 20 degrees higher regularly. Like, it wasn't built for Santa Clara. That sun is oppressively hot, and the stadium design's so bad that the engineers are like, there's nothing we can do about it. and because they stuck it right in the path of an airport.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just big old cluster. So
yeah, it's crazy. I remember when I first heard about that, I'm like, the Great America parking lot? You serious? Like, I know that place well.
Have you been there?
Yeah, it's not a place for a football stadium. It's in the middle of a bunch of corporate buildings, and then
even Great America being there is really weird.
Yeah,
it
is.
Yeah, it's corporate business parks all around it. It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, the city, the county, and the team, they don't like each other at all.
No, they've never had a good relationship going back to the beginning. And, there was that whole dispute where the 49ers weren't paying their fair share, I believe, in either taxes or rent. That happened this year when the county announced that fans could start going to games. The county said right away, or the city said right away, no, we're not allowing that at all. There's just a lot of back and forth between the 49ers and Santa Clara, and it's just playing out publicly right now. Colin Young, what do you guys think about Marcel Harris possibly playing linebacker tomorrow? I think he could do it. Is that being asked of him? I haven't heard anything of that being asked of him.
That would be similar to the thing where Derwin James played linebacker in the playoffs against Baltimore. It would be like a nickel linebacker type of thing.
Yeah,
you just want a guy who's going to come up and thump, but still have some pass coverage ability. Because outside of Greenlaw and Warner, they like spin at linebacker too. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, they are. I think the Rams would prepare for a sweep inside pass. Would be prepared for a sweep inside pass. Probably. I mean, the 49ers don't have much gadget plays or special plays they can really run with who's out there right now, especially with Nick Mullins under center. Wilson or Lance? I imagine Zach Wilson or Trey Lance.
I'm leaning Wilson right now.
Yeah. Is it close?
That Trey Lance is it's getting wider all the time. I think it's very concerning that Trey Lance isn't playing this year and that he's from a very small school.
Yeah.
Because say what you will about BYU not playing like Power 5 people, BYU is like a big school.
Mm-hmm. And Wilson is just killing it week after week. He looks fantastic.
Yeah, I just worry, and that's my thing about Kyle Trask too. I don't trust Kyle Trask. Kyle Trask didn't start a quarterback in any of his years in high school. He started last year a little bit for Florida, and then this year, and that's all of his starting experience. So he's super inexperienced. I think that the college game lends itself to hiding players' flaws more, given that the system is what's the most important in college, whereas in the NFL, it's players and traits that are more important than any given system. So it's a little different. So
yeah, that's fair. I just feel like the 49ers, these two players, at least from what I've seen, and I haven't researched much on them, Zach Wilson.
I think Wilson fits the offense better.
Yeah, and he seems like much more of a sure thing. You're kind of taking more of a gamble on a guy like Trey Lance, small school, like you said, and taking a whole year off.
Experience, yeah.
And experience, yeah. So Highlight of Wilson looks beautiful. Yeah, just be careful with the highlights.
Yeah, you have to watch the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta because you gotta be honest. Like, what does he do well? What does he not do well? You know what I mean? Like, I still don't like his throwing delivery. I think it's funky looking, and I worry about his prior shoulder surgery. But he's playing really well. So
yeah. OYG Sakona, who's talking about taking the Niners tomorrow, makes sense, but we still have a chance. I'm turning this whole thing around with what we have. Next man up: Jordan Reed, Debo, Mostert, Wilson, Juice, hopefully Ayuk.
Next man up gets harder to say when you're 25 men down.
I don't envision Ayuk playing tomorrow. I really don't.
Imagine it's the training room, right? And the trainer's like, "Oh, this guy's hurt now." He yells out, "Next man up." Then whoever's in the hall, like the assistant in the hall, he yells, "Next man up." That gets to Kyle Shanahan. He's like, "Next man up." Then John Lynch says it, and then it gets to Adam Peters, and then it gets to a local scout. The local scout walks into a 7-Eleven and goes, "Next man up. You want to play football? Okay, that's the guy they signed." Like, there's a limit to what you can do, and they're really scraping. They just put Jordan Matthews back on the practice squad for like the 18th time.
I saw that. I mean,
you're scraping at this point. So next man up's easy to say unless you're 30 people down, which they are. So
yeah, at this point, honestly, I'm just waiting for the season to be over because not much can really happen, unfortunately. I want guys that are in contract years to, get theirs and put enough on tape to where they get a nice contract, obviously. But I feel like at this point, we're only risking injuries. They're likely not going to make the playoffs. And go ahead. Wait.
I don't want to say, listen, I'm never going to be like, okay, get the guy out there, or don't get the guy out there because you're worried about injuries or you think that they can go or whatever. Football's a contact sport. Injuries are going to happen regardless. My thing is, if they win a couple of games, it hurts the team in terms of impact players because of their positioning in the draft. Where if you believe that this team is like one or two pieces away from going back to the Super Bowl, why wouldn't you want those one or two pieces to be 8 to 10 slots ahead of where they're going to be if you win 2 or 3 more games this year? I mean, you trust your scouts to do their job, but sometimes it's like, it's always a tale of like, oh, they took our guy 2 picks before we did. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, that's it's unfortunate because especially with a position as pivotal as a quarterback, missing out on a couple of picks is the difference between getting, Andrew Luck or RG3. Like it's a big difference. And I know none of them are in the NFL right now, but Andrew Luck, if you would have continued playing, their career trajectories ended totally differently. So the 49ers just need to.
But it's interesting how that turns out though, right? Because if you would have said year one of Andrew Luck, RG3, who's going to be better, most people would have said RG3 because he had a very efficient year. He won the Rookie of the Year, whatever. Like he played really well. Same thing with Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. After 1 year, you'd be like, oh, Carson Wentz is going to be the way better guy. And now Carson Wentz has fallen off a cliff, and Jared Goff, while he's not lighting the world on fire, is a capable starting quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's true. I mean, it really just depends on how it works out. I think soon. Warner MVP tomorrow. It sucks to be the team that almost made it to the playoffs. Yeah, and especially when it costs you a premium player in the draft. Yep. You're stuck in purgatory. You don't get the playoff spot. You don't get the good player, early up in the draft, which is kind of my worst nightmare, to be honest with you. I don't want the 49ers to be stuck in that position. I don't want them to be stuck with picks, 15 through 18 or even like 13 through 18 because that kind of puts them in no man's land.
It's the Jeff Fisher special. That's some 7 and 9 shit.
Yeah.
You don't want them there.
You don't. No, you really don't. It doesn't help anybody. I think I said the last video we did for Niners News, I think the only person that benefits from that situation is Jimmy Garoppolo because they likely have to bring him back.
They'd have to keep him. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think the 49ers could perform as good as when they first faced the Rams? No, don't see it. Too hurt?
No. Yeah, too hurt. Too hurt. It's a road game.
The only thing I'll say is that it's a divisional game. Weird things happen in divisional games.
Sure. I normally I would say that, but I think that the added distraction that's going to be with the coaches because they're going to be like, all right, well, where are we going to be for our next home game?
True.
And as much as you'd like to think that they can compartmentalize that stuff at some point or another, you just got to be like, how much stuff can we deal with this year? And I think that's. I'll tell you this: you're going to know real quick if they come out flat, then they're going to get boat raced.
True. Yeah,
if they fall behind in the first quarter by a score or two, they're going to get absolutely blown out.
Yeah, they came out hot against the Saints, and they looked good for the majority of that first half, and then they just died. They just could not keep up with that pace. Yeah, so they need to come out hot again, and
despite the fact they almost murdered Drew Brees.
Dude, I still can't believe he fractured his rib in like
another rib right
12 places.
Yeah, and collapsed the lung.
By the way,
that's hardcore that he stayed on the sideline for the entire half, though.
Yeah.
I
Talk on 49ers Twitter is to bring in Alex Smith next year to bridge Smith or another quarterback. Matt's not big on bridge quarterbacks.
No, and I'm an Alex Smith guy too, but at this point, like, what you're not gonna. He's washed, man. Like, I mean, it says something that he's the best quarterback in Washington. That speaks to how bad their quarterback situation is. But
yeah, even with that rookie or the second year pick from.
Is Alex Smith going to be significantly better than Nick Mullins? Probably not at this point. Now, if you would have said like 5 years ago, Alex Smith would have been like, hell yeah, bring him in. But one of his best weapons was his mobility, and I think that's diminished because of his leg.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about a guy that has drop foot, nerve injury to his leg, like. And you see like the throwing accuracy is there, but he's not the guy that's going to be taking shots down the field. And then like, why with a bridge guy? Just go and trade up. If it's not going to be Jimmy Garoppolo, why not trade for one of the best quarterbacks in the draft?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I wouldn't necessarily, if they did, yes, thank you. I was just going to say, if they felt the need to take a bridge quarterback, I'd rather have Fitzpatrick than Alex Smith. He's shown
he's fun to watch.
And that's
savage. He's a savage. I love Ryan.
He really is. Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. He's slinging baby gravy to his wife all the time. He's almost got as many kids as Phillip Rivers does. And he's a Harvard guy and still leads with his head. Like,
yeah.
He's just like, he's like, I'm so bored of being smart. Please make me a little dumber. I'm going to throw my head in there.
He could still ball out.
I mean, Fitzpatrick.
Look at what he did against the 49ers. He completely humiliated that defense.
He's still gonna go oscillate between Fitzmagic and Fitztragic, but you know, that's
the tragic story of Ryan Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
Plus, I just want to see like pimping post game outfits when he has a good game. Get a little chest lettuce in there.
Yeah. Right now you get
shirt tucked into sweatpants like the last time.
Yeah.
Legit.
Right now you get all of the tragic with Nick Mullins with none of the magic. So at least there's a little bit of an upside.
Ryan Fitzpatrick would be a step up from Nick Mullins for sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Shulo, go ahead.
I gotta say, I'm tired of looking at Nick Mullins' puzzle face too, where he does something dumb and then he's like, like, you did it, dude. I don't know what's so confusing about you.
Yeah. It's funny. Do we see Saleh going to the Lions? Or who do you guys prefer to be the DC, if so?
I was making the argument that because the 49ers have had such a tragic year this year, coming off of the Fitzmagic stuff, but that they've had such a difficult year that you're going to see guys like Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator in New Orleans, get some shine. You're going to see some of these guys that are, killing it. Bieniemy is going to get a look. I mean, you're talking about guys whose names are going to be higher up on the list. I think Robert Saleh will have cooled off a little bit. And that's through no fault of Saleh's. That's just because of the nature of the season. So, I don't know.
I don't think so.
I have this weird feeling it's going to be Jim Harbaugh.
Really? Oh, that would be hilarious. After him and the whole Jim Schwartz thing where they almost fought.
Yeah, I don't know why.
That would be hilarious. I don't think he goes. I agree with Matt. I think the hotness around his name, so to speak, has kind of cooled down this year. They're not doing segments about him, in the pregame being all fired up and getting his guys, hyped. Mm-hmm. That's not happening.
They don't show him throughout the game a lot anymore.
No, they don't show him at all because what's there to show? Your team's kind of getting humiliated. I don't want to see that guy.
Have you heard all gas, no breaks at all this season? Because I haven't.
Not once. Not a single time. No. It's been, none of the players. It's like everything that was good about last year died. died week 1 when they came into the stadium to play the Cardinals. None of that carried over.
It really died with that Jimmy G overthrow, but
Yeah.
Or that Richard Sherman burnt toast. But yeah.
That's some Nick Mullins special. First half he's good. Second half he's back to his old self.
Yep.
Unfortunately. You cannot.
Well, here's the thing about Mullins. Mullins can go out there and execute a game plan, and when Kyle has everything scripted, and that's what they've been practicing for the week, Nick can go out there and execute that to a T. It's when, you got to check out. You got to change the progression. You got to, we're calling plays as situationally as they happen, and maybe you didn't practice this play enough. He's not good enough to overcome any knowledge deficiencies or practice deficiencies. If he hasn't seen it, he's not going to know it. And I think that's where he gets in trouble when they get outside of their scripted plays.
Yep. I do see Matt Mayoko is kind of speculating that they could play in Arizona, if I'm reading this correctly. The closest Cardinals play at home is December 6th. Yeah, it seems like he's kind of speculating they could play in Arizona, that there's no
that's a possibility too.
Conflicts.
Glendale's pretty close. So.
Yeah.
And for as much as 49er fans are like, oh man, that's F. Listen, the organizations don't care. That's a fan. Rivalries are fan things, really. To be honest.
Steve, this was going to be my answer actually. D'Amico Ryans, if Robert Saleh were to leave, I think he could be a good DC. I think he's got the passion, the energy, the knowledge. I think he could succeed at that position.
Yeah, me too. I like D'Amico Ryans a lot.
Yeah. Who will be the quarterback?
You always want to see guys who get an opportunity to advance. He's done a good job with what he's been asked to do. So naturally, it's like, can you take the next step? Can you have you want to feed him a little more, put a little more on his plate, and I think he can handle it. I remember D'Amico Ryans when he was with the Texans, and there was like that one season where he had 160 tackles. It was something ridiculous, and he knows what he's doing. He knows where the defense is supposed to be schematically. He knows what he's doing, and I think he would be a really good candidate for a defense coordinator. And he might get poached. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, if somebody, so let's just say, I don't know, somebody from Shanahan's tree or whatever gets an opportunity to be a coach somewhere, and they're like, D'Amico Ryan can be my defensive coordinator. You never know.
Yep, I could totally see it. Who will be the next quarterback for the 49ers? We obviously both hope Zach Wilson, right? I
hope Trevor Lawrence, but
I'm telling you, that's so blocked out of my mind. It's not even an option.
I would trade everything.
Yeah.
Get rid of it all for Trevor. Trevor Lawrence is a generational talent. I would do 2 1s, 2 2s, and a 3 to get up to number 1.
That's crazy, but I mean, if it's a guy who's going to be the savior of your franchise, especially him paired with Kyle Shanahan,
he's the best quarterback in the draft since Andrew Luck, dude.
It would be deadly.
Yeah. Did you see his stat line today?
No, what was it?
26 of 37, 403, and 2 touchdowns, and then he left the game.
Jesus Christ. I mean, that's kind of like the standard with him.
400 yards on 26 completions, dude.
That's insane.
And, dude, it's not even like Travis Etienne had a good game. I think he had 11 for 58.
Yeah, I just – he's so good that he's not even in my mind as far as being available next year. He's just completely removed from the conversation for me because there's no way possible I see him slip into the 49ers.
Yeah, no, it's not about slipping, dude. The Jets are such a trash organization. You don't think that they would make a mistake and trade that away? Of course they would. Of course they would. That would be the most Jets thing for them to do.
True. I could see that. Going through these.
Didn't they just have a scandal where one of their reporters outed another reporter for being a shady piece of crap?
Yes. Okay. We got to get into this real quick.
That's the Jets. That's the Jets, man.
Charles McDonald, who is a great guy. Go follow him. 4Verts on Twitter. He got hired for I believe the New York Daily News, and he had been, from what he tweeted out, commuting 4 hours a day back when training camp was going on and the off season. And he was reporting, and there's a reporter in New York, Manish Mehta, who hasn't had credentials for the team in years. Apparently, he got them pulled, and they were taking Charles McDonald's.
He was stalking Joe Douglas's kid at a baseball game.
Oh, is that the story? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and then he I don't know, he was talking shit or harassing the Jets owner too, and then he was telling Joe Douglas, like, if you give me access or whatever, I'll write puff pieces about you, like I'll write nice things about you. And Joe Douglas like, go fuck yourself.
Jesus.
Yeah, like this total piece of crap, and everybody has receipts. Nobody actually came to defend this guy. Everybody, when Charles McDonald first said his thing, everybody came out of the woodworks and just piled on, dude. Apparently this guy is a big piece of crap. But that's what I'm saying. Like, the Jets organization is so terribly run. There's just so much bad juju around that organization. I could totally see them making a mistake and trading away that number one pick with a generational guy like Trevor Lawrence. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if it's available, you at least have to explore it.
Yeah, and I would not be mad at the 49ers if the trade you proposed, 2 1s, 2 2s, and a 3.
Listen, listen, if the 49ers traded up and got Trevor Lawrence, I would advocate for Joe Montana to hand over 16. Listen.
You're going to get some heat for that one.
Bring it on. Bring it on. I just need a good quarterback in San Francisco now. Haven't had it in forever.
All right, getting back to these comments, Fit Magic would be better than Mullins and CJ put together. He would be better than both of them put together. Nick Mullins has that Wade Phillips look of confusion. Yeah, he really does. It's like he'll throw, like Matt said, he'll throw a pick, and he'll be just kind of like, yes, you just threw that. You just threw that straight to the defender.
What happened?
Yeah. Wish a happy birthday to your nephew, OIG Sakona. Appreciate the support. Thanks for sharing. Steve, if Saleh leaves, he's probably taking a good handful of that coaching staff. Most likely.
Taking a few.
Yeah, that's what you usually see when that happens. I mean, it's all about who you know, and these guys take who they know, who they can trust, who they think is the best to coach that. Most likely to be back next year, Jimmy Garoppolo or Trent Williams.
Trent Williams.
Really? You think so?
Yeah, because they're definitely looking at quarterbacks.
Yeah, I guess it's a matter of if they're able to replace
Penny Sewell is going to Miami.
Yeah.
Or to Cincinnati. He's not getting past either of those teams. And after that, there's really no top flight left tackles. So 49ers have definitely been looking at quarterbacks.
Yeah, which is what cracked me up with the whole Jimmy Garoppolo is the best quarterback on our roster. We feel confident when he's in there we can win. But yes, we were watching Zach Wilson play. It's just complete doublespeak. It's what you can expect from a general manager. They're not going to come out and say
it's that old school vote of confidence, right? Like, he's our guy. He's our guy. 2 weeks later, you're fired.
Yep. I mean, the Cardinals put out that, now historic tweet that Josh Rosen's our guy. And then like a week later, they drafted Kyler.
Yep.
So that's just the NFL. That's just life in the NFL. We're going to be wrapping things up here, guys. Like I said earlier, if you haven't subscribed yet, do us a solid. Hit subscribe. Turn on notifications. We are trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. Once we do, we'll be giving away our 5th 49ers jersey. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't. The best thing you can do to support our channel is share these videos, get them out there, get the word out there. If you think we're doing a good job, you like what you hear, please do. Next comment.
If you think there's areas where we can improve too.
Yeah, feel free.
Comments too.
Yeah.
Just listen. Be nice. Don't be rude. But constructive criticism is always appreciated. But if you're just like, you guys are idiots, that doesn't help anybody. So
no. Share your thoughts.
We're Colt McKivitz, bro.
It's gonna be ugly.
Too.
Yeah.
Prayers up.
Yeah. Was it
against a 5th round rookie? Yikes.
It's not going to be pretty. Although I was really surprised and impressed with, was it Brunskill that held his own against Aaron Donald in week 3 or whatever that was?
Yeah.
That was surprising to me and impressive.
Yeah, there was that story going around earlier that I thought was really interesting about Aaron Donald, about how he over pursues all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where he doesn't maintain gap integrity. He just immediately just tries to penetrate as far. Okay, hold on. I'll pause on that. He tries to get in there as fast as he can, and whatever, it's football talk, but Yeah, like where he ends up over pursuing, and you can actually exploit that in the running game because he shoots a gap too hard, and then the running back's past him already, and it actually creates a bigger hole for a running back to go through because that gap is compromised. So it'll be interesting to see how anybody does against Aaron Donald. But like I said earlier, I think the way that the fans and the media have kind of gassed him up as far as not performing against the 49ers, I wouldn't be surprised if he came out like a man possessed.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that either. That's just him. And on the flip side, we saw Deebo Samuel. He kind of felt disrespected when after that first game, he goes, that video came out. How do you feel preparing or going against a guy like Deebo? And he said, who? It's like, come on, Aaron Donald. You know damn well who Deebo Samuel is. You're telling me you don't watch tape on him. You're telling me a whole year of an electric rookie season. You didn't hear about this guy who you play twice a year. Like, come on, man. That's just disrespectful.
On the flip side, that question was kind of out of pocket too, though.
It was.
Like, why are you asking a defensive tackle about a wide receiver?
Yeah, it was.
Like, what do you Aaron Donald isn't going to be covering Deebo Samuel at any point in the game. Probably not going to lay a hand on him at any point in the game because that's not what his assignment is. That's not what he's asked to do. Now, if you're like, how you feel about preparing for this quarterback or that quarterback, sure, fine. But to ask about a wide receiver, like, come on, guys. I would even ask about like George Kittle, right? How do you feel about preparing for George Kittle? Even that, it's just like, okay, because you can get caught up in a block or something like that. But come on,
Yikes. It was out of line. I mean, nothing good was going to come out of that question. I don't think the reporter was expecting a genuine answer with, Deebo's fantastic. He's hard to, no. There's nothing that Aaron Donald could really say there. But with all that being said, he was still disrespectful in the way he answered.
Yeah, I mean, you ask a stupid question, you're going to get a stupid answer. So.
Yeah. Imagine during practice, Shanahan is just like, hey, Colton, you ready to face Aaron Donald? Yeah, that wouldn't be pretty. I'm sure he's not even addressing that topic.
Not nice either. It was like, Colton, you're starting. You better not give up any sacks to Donald.
Yeah.
If 99 gets a sack, your ass is grass. Like,
you're out of here.
That's going to be like, yeah.
Along with your rookie salary.
Probably that old trope of NFL stands for not for long, right, Colton?
I wouldn't doubt it. Let's go ahead and start wrapping things up here. Defensive
offensive defensive MVPs.
Okay, go first.
Offensive MVP. I'm gonna go with Raheem Mostert, but I don't think it's gonna be pretty. I'm guessing Raheem Mostert's going to have 11 carries for 66 yards and a touchdown.
Not pretty at all.
They're going to play from behind, so I think he's going to be effective early, but then they're going to have to go away from him because they're just not going to have any opportunity to give him the ball.
Yeah. For me, offensive MVP, if not Mostert, then
Deebo.
Yeah, I mean,
you better take Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of how much they actually get him involved. He hasn't played in a few weeks. If they kind of use him sparingly, he might not have much of an impact. But I don't think they can afford to use him sparingly. I think they need to use him as heavily as they can. Him out there. So, and I'll go with something like 4 receptions for 72 yards. I don't think he finds the end zone, at least through the air.
What about running? You think he gets some runs?
Yeah, he could probably add another 30, 40 yards on the ground.
For me, I think the top receiving target is actually going to be Kendrick Bourne. So,
really, why is that?
Yeah, he just has this weird knack for, like, you think, oh, Kendrick Bourne played today, and then you look and he has like 5 catches for 58 yards or something. Like, and it's just like this quiet, didn't even notice it. But I think that Deebo's going to have to work back from a long time off, and I think he might be a little rusty. So I think you're going to see Kendrick Bourne be kind of a chain mover tomorrow. So
defensive MVP, who do you got?
AHM Tar. I love the optimism.
Keeping the faith.
I love the optimism. Defensive MVP, I'm going to cop out Fred Warner. 11 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble.
Yeah, that's an easy one. Not an easy one, but it's hard to not pick him.
I tried not to take him the last couple of weeks, but I got to come back around and take him again.
Yeah. For me, and I've picked him before, I'm going to go with Jason Verrett again. I think, I'm so lost. I don't think he's on any of the COVID lists, right? I'm pretty sure he's playing tomorrow.
No, he's fine.
So I'm gonna go.
Wow,
Jason
so we get to see Sherm and Verrett on the field at the same time.
That's what I was gonna say. So he finally gets some help on the opposite side of the field.
Yeah.
And then you got Mosley kind of trickling in there, as a third corner. I think he could have a pick, at least one pick tomorrow. So I'm gonna go Jason Verrett. I think he's gonna have a couple of passes deflected and a pick.
I can see that. Honorable mention to Sherm because people are still going to be afraid to throw at Sherman for some weird reason. But
he's been living off his name.
Hopefully he stays healthy, dude. Hopefully he stays healthy and that he doesn't have any more Achilles issues.
Yeah. Before we get to the final score, I just want to say shout out to Alex over at 49 grams. I got his shirt. Yak Bros. This is the Debo Samuel version.
Dope, dude.
Yeah, he made a couple cool ones. It's got the Nintendo design, so I had a cup. Steve
Love
says
that 8-bit art.
More.
That's more.
he looked all right when he's been in. They just need to use him more.
I just want to see Javon Kinlaw continue his growth because he looked pretty good last week.
He did. Yeah, he did.
Against the Saints. Sorry, not last week. They were off last week. Dang, it's been so long. Sorry about the delay, guys. Like when we had the week off, we took the week off. So
yeah, and we were both very busy, so it was nice to get a break. But we do love streaming. So.
And we're gonna respect your time too. There wasn't a ton to talk about.
Yeah.
So we don't want to just put up superfluous videos just for the sake. Yeah.
All right. Final score wrap up. What do you got, Matt? How bad are we losing?
Rams 35, 49ers 17.
Wow. Okay. 200%. I think it's a little closer than that. I think the 49ers divisional matchup, I think a big thing here that we haven't even touched is that the Rams have 6 days, whereas the 49ers have 14 days to prepare, coming off a bye week. There's a lot going on, but I do think Kyle Shanahan might have had enough time to at least game plan a solid game plan. So I'm going to go with, I still think they lose, but I'm going to go with something like 21-31.
Wow. Okay.
10 points winning.
Sure. I don't trust this offense to score more than 20 points.
Not at all. No. It's hard to envision them doing that consistently.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And with the war of attrition, it really, I think that people, I don't know how much, everybody's been watching the Rams at all this season or even the Chargers, but that Inglewood Stadium, SoFi, plays so fast. I mean, it's almost like that old school greatest show on turf thing where if you're not ready for it, you can get bum rushed real quick. And it's just good thing Sherman's coming back because Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and all those guys, it's buckle up.
Yeah.
So
I guess we'll see that, guys. We'll see how it turns out. Either way, we will be live after the game tomorrow, after Kyle Shanahan's press conference. Make sure you catch us here. And like I said, subscribe to the channel. Help us get to 2,000 subscribers. Like this video. Drop a comment with your final score predictions. Oh, we didn't even mention it. If you get the final score right in the comments, we'll send you some. Hit my mic again.
We're live, everybody.
Free merch. Yes. That's the pleasures of live. We will send you some free merch if you get the final score prediction right. So drop a comment.
And we promise it won't be Zach's broken mic that he just punched right now.
It's just my filter. Don't worry about it. It falls off. But that's going to do it for us, guys. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to our Week 12 preview, 49ers versus Rams. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already.
Go ahead and click the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Thanks again for joining us, guys. We always love having you. Until next time.